She didn't scream when they dragged her to the auction block. She didn't beg when the auctioneer called out her price like she was livestock. And she didn't cry when a stranger's rough hand pressed $35 into the widow's palm and claimed her like property. But when Clara Jane Whitmore stepped into that frozen cabin and saw 5 motherless children lined up like soldiers waiting for inspection, the youngest one clutching a wooden horse, the oldest one holding a rifle, that's when she knew. She hadn't been bought to be a wife. She'd been bought because no one else would stay. If you want to know what happened next, subscribe to our channel. Follow this story to the very end and comment below. Tell me which city you're watching from, so I can see how far this tale has traveled. Wyoming Territory, December 1879. The wagon hit a frozen rut. Clara's shoulder slammed hard against the wooden frame. She bit her tongue, tasted blood, didn't make a sound. 7 hours now. 7 hours of nothing but howling wind, blinding snow, and the broad back of a man who hadn't spoken since he'd counted out the money. $35. She'd watched him do it. Watched his cracked fingers peel each bill from a leather fold. Watched him hand it to Mrs. Patterson without looking at Clara once. Like buying flour. Like buying nails. "Storm's coming in fast." Clara's voice came out hoarse. "We ought to find shelter." Nothing. "Mister," I said. "I heard you." Low, rough. Like a door scraping over gravel. He didn't turn. Didn't slow the horses. Clara pulled her thin shawl tighter. Useless thing. The wind sliced through it like paper. She studied what she could see of him. Dark hair past his collar going gray at the sides, shoulders that blocked half the sky, a scar running down the back of his neck white against weathered skin. Josiah Brennan, 36. Widower. 5 children. That's all Mrs. Patterson had told her this morning while shoving her toward the door. "He's decent folk," the widow had said, not meeting Clara's eyes. "Quiet type. Wife died 3 years back. Them children need tending. You need a roof. It's practical, Clara. Lord knows we ain't got the luxury of being picky." Practical. Clara had wanted to spit in her face. Instead, she'd grabbed her bundle, one dress, one shawl, her mother's Bible, and climbed into a stranger's wagon. Because the creditors had given her 2 choices: work the saloon on Miller Street, or get married, today. Mrs. Patterson found her a husband in 6 hours. $35. "Blankets behind you," Josiah said suddenly. "Under the tarp." Clara didn't move. "You're shaking so hard you're rattling the whole wagon." "I'm fine. Suit yourself." Silence again. The horses pushed forward. Snow piled on Clara's shoulders, her lap, her eyelashes. She didn't reach for the blanket. Stubborn. That's what Mama used to call her. Stubborn as a mule and twice as ornery. Mama had been dead 5 years. Papa too. Aunt Ruth lasted longer, raised Clara from 14 to 19. Then the consumption took her 8 months ago. Left nothing but debts. A boarding house that couldn't pay them, and Clara alone again. Everyone she'd ever loved had a habit of dying. She reckoned this silent rancher would be no different. There. Clara looked up. Through the white chaos, a shape. 2 stories. Wooden. A porch sagging on one end like a tired man leaning on a cane. Smoke limping from the chimney. The barn behind it looked ready to collapse. Josiah pulled the wagon to a stop, climbed down without a word, walked around to her side. He didn't offer his hand, just stood there. Snow collecting on his hat brim. Waiting. Clara climbed down herself. Her boots sank past her ankles. Cold shot up through her bones. "Door ain't locked," he said. "Go on in. I'll see to the horses." He walked away. Didn't look back. Clara stood there watching him disappear into the white, and she thought, "This is it. This is my life now." She didn't feel sad. She didn't feel anything. That worried her more than the cold. 2. The door screamed on its hinges. Clara stepped inside, shaking snow from her hair, and stopped dead. 5 children, lined up in front of a dying fire like they'd been waiting for hours. The smallest boy stood at the end, 4, maybe 5 years old, dark curls, big brown eyes too old for his face, a wooden horse clutched so tight in his fist his knuckles had gone white. Next to him, 2 children pressed together like they'd been sewn at the hip. Twins. A boy and girl, maybe 6. Same light hair. Same hollow cheeks. The girl's mouth was moving, but no sound came out. The boy watched Clara like she might bite. Behind them stood a girl with half-undone braids. 8 or 9. She had the look of someone who'd stopped believing in good things a long time ago. And in front of them all, a boy. 12. Maybe 13. Dark hair like his father. A jaw set like stone. And a rifle in his hands, pointed straight at Clara's chest. Matt. A small voice. The littlest boy. Matt Pa said, "Shut it, Sammy." The older boy Matt didn't blink. His finger rested beside the trigger. Not on it, but close. "You the new one?" he asked. Clara's heart hammered, but she kept her voice flat. "I'm Clara. I know what your name is. I asked if you're the new one." "I don't know what that means." "It means Pa's brought 3 women here before you. They all ran off inside a week." Matt's eyes were ice. "So I'm asking, you the new one, or you something different?" Clara looked at the rifle, looked at the boy holding it, looked at the 4 children behind him, huddled together waiting. "I reckon," she said slowly, "that depends on whether you're fixing to shoot me." Something flickered in Matt's face. Surprise, maybe. The front door banged open. "Matthew James Brennan." Josiah's voice cracked through the room like a whip. Matt flinched. The rifle barrel dipped. "Put that down. Now." I said now." Matt's jaw tightened. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then he lowered the rifle, set it against the wall. His eyes never left Clara's face. "She ain't gonna stay," he said. "None of them do." "That ain't your concern." "Like hell it ain't. Every time one of them leaves, Sammy cries for a week. Rose stops eating. Emma..." His voice cracked. "You keep bringing strangers into this house and expecting us to just... Enough." One word. Quiet. Final. Matt went silent. His hands shook at his sides. Josiah stepped past Clara. Snow melted off his coat, pooling on the floor. "Rose," he said. "Take the little ones to the kitchen. There's biscuits in the box from yesterday." The girl with braids nodded fast. She grabbed Sammy's hand, then one of the twins. The other twin, the silent girl, followed without being touched. They disappeared through a doorway. Matt didn't move. "Go," Josiah said. "No. Boy, I ain't leaving you alone with her." Matt lifted his chin. "You don't know nothing about her. She could be anybody. She could be... She's staying. That's the end of it." "For how long?" "A week." 2. Matt's voice rose. "Until she figures out this place is falling apart. Until she sees there ain't no money and no hope. And no..." "That's enough." Josiah's hand landed on Matt's shoulder. Heavy. The boy went rigid. They stood like that for a long moment. Father and son. Something passing between them that Clara couldn't read. Then Matt shrugged off the hand, walked past Clara without looking at her. His boots pounded up the stairs. A door slammed somewhere above. The house shook. Josiah let out a breath, rubbed a hand over his face. For just a second, he looked like a man drowning. Then the mask came back. "Your room's upstairs," he said. "End of the hall on the left." "That boy is my son, my problem." He pointed a rifle at me. "Wasn't loaded." Clara stared at him. "You sure about that?" Josiah didn't answer. He walked past her, grabbed his coat from the hook by the door, and headed back outside into the storm. The door banged shut behind him. Clara stood alone in the cold room, the fire dying in the hearth, and thought, $35 bought me a crumbling house, a silent husband, and a boy who might actually kill me. What a bargain. She found the kitchen by following the sound of small voices. The room was barely warmer than the hallway. A cast-iron stove sat cold in the corner. A table with 6 chairs, one of them broken, propped against the wall. The 5 children sat in a row on a bench, passing a tin of biscuits between them. They went silent when Clara walked in. Sammy, the little one, looked up first. "You're still here." "I'm still here." "The last lady left before supper. Didn't even say goodbye. Just took off walking down the road in the snow." He bit into a biscuit. "Pa had to go find her 'fore she froze." "Did she freeze?" "Nah, but she was crying real hard. Said she'd rather die than stay in this godforsaken place." He chewed thoughtfully. "What's godforsaken mean?" Clara's chest hurt. "It means forgotten." "Oh." Sammy considered this. "Are you going to leave too?" The other children watched her. Rose with her half-undone braids, the twins pressed together. Even the silent girl Emma Clara remembered was looking at her now. "No," Clara said. "I ain't leaving." "Promise?" The word hung in the cold air. Clara thought of every promise ever broken to her. Every person who'd sworn to stay and then vanished. Every morning she'd woken up alone. She looked at this little boy with his wooden horse and his 2 old eyes. "I promise." Sammy smiled. It transformed his whole face. "Good," he said. "I'm tired of people leaving." That night, Clara couldn't sleep. The room was ice. The bed was hard. The single blanket might as well have been paper. She lay in the dark listening, wind screaming, walls groaning, somewhere a shutter banging loose, and underneath it all, crying, soft, muffled, coming through the wall. Clara sat up. The cold hit her like a fist. She wrapped the blanket around her shoulders and crept to the door. The hallway was black. She felt her way along the wall until she found the next door. Cracked open an inch. The crying was louder here. Clara pushed the door wider. Rose sat in the middle of her bed, knees pulled to her chest, face buried in her arms. Her whole body shook. "Rose!" The girl's head snapped up. Tear tracks shone on her cheeks. "Get out!" "I heard you crying. I just wanted to—" "I said get out!" Rose's voice cracked. "I don't need you. I don't need anybody." Clara didn't move. "Please." The word came out broken. "Please just leave me alone." Clara crossed the room, sat on the edge of the bed, not touching, just there. Rose stared at her with red-rimmed eyes. "Why won't you go?" "Because nobody should cry alone in the dark. I always cry alone, every night. Nobody ever comes. I'm here now. You won't stay. They never stay." Clara was quiet for a moment. The wind howled outside. "When I was 15, she said, my mama and papa died, same week. Fever took them both." Rose went still. "I had to bury them myself. Neighbors wouldn't come near the house, afraid they'd catch it." Clara stared at the dark window. "I dug 2 graves in frozen ground with my own hands. Took me 3 days. That's awful." It was. And every night after I'd lie in bed and cry, just like you're crying now. I'd pray for someone to come, anyone, just to sit with me, just to tell me I wasn't alone. Did anyone come? No. Clara looked at her. "That's why I'm here." Rose's face crumpled, and then she was in Clara's arms, sobbing against her chest, her small body shaking with grief that was too big for her bones. Clara held her tight. "I miss Mama," Rose wailed. "I miss her so much. I see her in my dreams. I see the blood. I hear her screaming. And I can't make it stop. I know, sweetheart. I know. Pa won't talk about her. Matt gets angry if I say her name. Sammy don't remember her face. And Emma, Emma ain't said a word since Mama died. Not one word in 3 years. Clara's breath caught. 3 years of silence. That little girl hadn't spoken in 3 years. Nobody tells me it's going to be okay, Rose whispered. Nobody ever says it. Clara pulled back, cupped the girl's face in her hands. It's going to be okay, she said. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I promise you, Rose Brennan, it's going to be okay. Rose stared at her. You mean that? Every word. The girl collapsed against her again, but the sobs were softer now. The shaking was slowing. Clara held her until she fell asleep, held her longer than that, and when she finally crept back to her own room, her chest ached with something she hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Dawn came gray and mean. Clara woke to the sound of chopping. She went to the window, scraped frost from the glass, and looked out. Josiah stood by the woodpile in the half-light. No coat, no hat, just shirt sleeves in the freezing air. He swung the axe like he was trying to kill something, over and over, the blade biting into wood, splitting it clean, his breath clouding in the cold. Clara watched him for a long time. There was something wrong about it. The way he moved, like a man running from something he couldn't escape. Then she saw it. His hands. They were shaking. Not from cold. From something else. Something that looked a lot like grief that had nowhere to go. He stopped mid-swing, leaned on the axe handle. His head dropped. His shoulders heaved once, twice. Then he straightened, picked up the axe, went back to swinging, like nothing had happened. Clara stepped back from the window. She understood something now, something Mrs. Patterson hadn't told her, something Matt's anger had hidden. Josiah Brennan wasn't cold. He was broken, same as his children, same as this house, same as Clara herself. This whole place was held together by stubbornness and splinters. Breakfast was a disaster. Clara found the stove cold, the pantry near empty. Some flour, a few soft potatoes, dried beans, salt pork that smelled wrong. She made what she could. Biscuits that came out dense, gravy that came out thin. The children ate like they hadn't seen food in days, all except Matt. He sat at the end of the table, arms crossed, plate untouched. Eat, Clara said. I ain't hungry. You're a growing boy. Eat. You ain't my mother. The table went silent. Sammy's eyes went wide. Rose froze with a biscuit halfway to her mouth. The twins pressed closer together. Clara set down her fork. No, I ain't. Then don't tell me what to do. Somebody's got to. Matt's chair scraped back. He stood up so fast the table shook. You don't know nothing about this family. You don't know nothing about what we been through. You're just another stranger Pa bought because he can't handle. Matthew? Josiah's voice came from the doorway. He stood there with snow on his boots, his face unreadable. Sit down, he said. Finish your breakfast. But Pa, now. Matt's jaw worked. His hands clenched at his sides. For a moment, Clara thought he might explode. Then he grabbed his plate and hurled it against the wall. Ceramic shattered. Biscuits and gravy splattered across the floor. The twins started crying. Sammy scrambled under the table. Rose sat frozen, her face white. Matt stormed past his father and out the front door, slamming it so hard the whole house shook. Silence. Then Sammy's small voice from under the table. Is he coming back? Josiah closed his eyes. His whole body seemed to sag. Yeah, he said quietly. He always comes back. He looked at Clara. Something passed between them. Not understanding. Not yet. But acknowledgement. This was the reality she'd bought into. I'll clean it up, Clara said. I'll find the boy. He walked out without another word. Clara knelt down and peered under the table. Sammy looked at her with huge eyes. Is Matt gonna be okay? I don't know, sweetheart. She held out her hand. But we're gonna be okay, all right. He took her hand. and beside him, pressed into the shadows, Emma was looking at Clara too. Her lips moved. No sound came out, but Clara could read the word. Okay. The day passed in pieces. Clara scrubbed the floor, mended the fire, found a crack in the window and stuffed it with rags. The children circled her like wary animals. Sammy stayed closest, following her from room to room. Rose helped with the dishes, quiet but present. The twins watched from corners. Emma didn't speak, but she didn't hide either. Matt didn't come back until dark. He walked in covered in snow, his lips blue, his fingers raw. He didn't look at anyone, just went straight upstairs. His door closed, didn't slam this time, just closed. Josiah came in an hour later. He looked at Clara across the dim room. "He won't talk to me," he said. "He's hurting." "I know that." "Do you?" Something flashed in his eyes. Anger, maybe. Or something else. "You been here one day," he said. "One day. Don't tell me about my own son." "Somebody's got to." "That ain't your place." "Then whose place is it?" He didn't answer. He turned and walked away. Clara listened to his boots on the stairs. Listened to his door close. Two broken men in one house. Father and son both drowning in the same grief, both too stubborn to reach for each other. And 5 children caught between them. Clara looked around the cold room, the dying fire, the patched walls, the shadows pressing in from every corner. $35. That's what this cost. No. She shook her head. That's what this was worth. That night, Clara made her rounds. She checked on Sammy first, found him asleep with his wooden horse tucked under his chin. She checked on the twins. Eli and Emma shared a bed curled together like puppies. Emma's eyes were open in the dark. Clara knelt beside her. "You all right, sweetheart?" Emma didn't answer. Of course she didn't. But she reached out. Her small hand found Clara's, and she held on. Clara stayed until Emma's eyes closed, until her grip loosened, until her breathing went deep and even. Then she checked on Rose. No crying tonight. The girl was asleep, her face peaceful for once. Clara pulled the blanket up to her chin, smoothed the hair from her forehead. "It's gonna be okay," she whispered. "I promised." She straightened up, and that's when she heard it. A sound from Matt's room. Not crying, something else. She crossed the hall, put her ear to the door, praying. The boy was praying. "Please, God, please bring her back. I'll be good. I'll stop being angry. I'll do whatever you want. Just please, please bring Mama back." His voice broke. "I can't do this anymore. I can't." Clara pressed her hand flat against the door. She didn't go in. She didn't say anything. But she stayed there on the other side of the wood, listening to a 12-year-old boy beg God for a miracle that was never going to come. And she made a decision. She couldn't bring their mother back. But she could stay. She could fight for this family. She could be the one who didn't leave. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. Morning came with no mercy. Clara woke to the sound of coughing. Deep, wet, wrong. She threw off the blanket and ran. Sammy's room. The little boy sat up in bed, his face flushed red, his chest heaving. Each breath rattled like stones in a tin can. "Sammy." Clara dropped to her knees beside him, pressed her hand to his forehead. Burning. "How long you been feeling sick?" "Since yesterday." His voice came out thin, broken. "Didn't want to say nothing. Didn't want you to leave." Clara's heart cracked. "Why would I leave?" "The second lady left when Eli got the croup. Said she didn't sign up for nursing sick children." He coughed again, harder this time. "I was trying to be good. I was trying not to be trouble." "You ain't trouble." Clara pulled him into her arms. He was so hot, too hot. You ain't never gonna be trouble. You hear me? Footsteps behind her. Josiah stood in the doorway, his face tight. How bad? He asked. Bad. He needs a doctor. Nearest doctor's in town, 3 hours ride. Then you better start riding. Josiah didn't move. Something crossed his face. Fear, Clara realized. Real fear. Last time I left during a storm, he said quietly, I came back to find Sarah on the floor, bleeding, alone, the children screaming. Clara went cold. What are you saying? I'm saying I ain't leaving this house, not with a storm coming. Your son is burning up, and my other 4 children are depending on me to keep them safe. His voice cracked. I can't be in 2 places, Clara. I can't. She looked at Sammy, looked at Josiah, saw the impossible choice tearing him apart. Then I'll go, she said. You don't know the way. Then draw me a map. You'll freeze before you make it halfway. Maybe? Clara stood. But I ain't gonna sit here and watch this boy die because we were too scared to try. Josiah stared at her. The silence stretched. Then he shook his head. No, I'll go. You stay with the children. Josiah. You was right. He cut her off. I've been hiding. From them. From everything. Sarah would have... His voice broke. He looked away. She would have gone. No question. She would have walked through hellfire for any one of them. Then let me... stay. He turned back to her. His eyes were wet. First time she'd seen anything close to tears from him. Keep them safe. Keep them warm. If I don't make it back... Don't talk like that. If I don't make it back, he repeated, tell them I'm sorry. Tell them their daddy loved them even when he didn't know how to show it. He was gone before Clara could answer. She heard his boots on the stairs, the front door slamming, the horses screaming against the wind, then silence. Sammy coughed again, weaker this time. Clara held him tighter. Your daddy's gonna bring help. You just gotta hold on. What if he doesn't come back? He will. Promise. She couldn't promise that. She knew she couldn't. I promise I'll be right here, she said instead. No matter what happens. I'll be right here. It wasn't enough, but it was all she had. The hours crawled by like wounded animals. Clara did what she could. Cold cloths on Sammy's forehead. Broth from the last of the chicken stock. Prayers she wasn't sure anyone was listening to. The other children gathered in the hallway. Rose pressed against the doorframe, her face white. The twins sat on the floor holding hands. Even Matt had come down from his room. He stood at the back, arms crossed, his jaw working. He's gonna die, Matt said. Just like Mama, just like the baby. Everyone dies in this house. Matthew, Rose's voice broke. Don't say that. It's true. Pa thinks getting a new woman's gonna fix everything, but nothing fixes this. This whole place is cursed. That ain't true. Clara didn't look up from Sammy. Ain't no such thing as curses, just hard times and the people strong enough to get through them. Easy for you to say. You ain't lost nobody. Clara went still. Slowly she turned. I buried my mama and papa in the same week. Dug the graves myself because no one would help. I was 15 years old and I had to wrap my own mother's body in sheets and drag her out to the yard because I wasn't strong enough to carry her. Her voice was flat. Hard. Don't you dare tell me I ain't lost nobody. Matt's face went pale. I'm sorry. I didn't... You don't know what anyone's been through, Matthew. Not your daddy, not me, not anybody. So maybe stop acting like you're the only one in this world who's ever hurt. The boy looked like she'd slapped him. Good. Clara turned back to Sammy. The little boy's eyes were closed. His breathing was shallow. Come on, sweetheart, she whispered. Stay with me. Rose crept into the room, knelt down beside Clara. Can I help? Pray, if you know how. Mama taught me. Then pray hard. Rose closed her eyes. Her lips moved. No sound, but Clara could see the words forming. Please, God. Please don't take him. Please. Behind them, Matt turned and walked away. Clara heard his footsteps on the stairs, heard his door close. This time, no slam. 2 hours passed. Then 3. The storm howled like a living thing. Snow piled against the windows. The fire in the hearth burned low. Clara sent Rose to gather more wood. Sent Eli to check the kitchen for anything they'd missed that might help. She didn't let go of Sammy's hand. Tell me a story, the boy whispered. What kind of story? The kind with a happy ending. Clara's throat tightened. Once upon a time, there was a little boy who had the bravest heart in all the territory. Was he scared? Sometimes, but being brave don't mean you ain't scared. It means you keep going anyway. Did he have a family? The best family. A daddy who loved him, brothers and sisters who'd do anything for him, and She stopped. A what? A mama, Clara said softly, who wasn't gonna let anything bad happen to him. Sammy's eyes opened, cloudy with fever, but there. You mean you... Clara felt tears burning behind her eyes. Yeah, I mean me. He smiled, weak but real. I'm glad Pa found you, he said. Then his eyes closed again. And Clara prayed harder than she'd ever prayed in her life. The door crashed open just after dark. Clara's head snapped up. Sammy flinched in her arms. Josiah stood in the doorway covered in snow, barely able to stand. Behind him, another figure. A man with a black bag and a face that looked like it had seen too much. Doctor's here, Josiah said. And then his legs gave out. Clara was halfway to him before he hit the floor. Josiah! She grabbed his arm. His skin was ice. His lips were blue. You fool! You damn fool! Got him. Josiah's voice came out slurred. Got the doctor. Sammy? I got Sammy. The doctor pushed past them. You two need to get this man warm before he loses fingers. Matt appeared at the top of the stairs. Pa. His voice cracked. Pa, what? Help me, Clara ordered. Get him by the fire, now. For once, Matt didn't argue. They dragged Josiah to the hearth. Clara stripped off his frozen coat, his boots, his gloves. His hands were white. Bad sign. Blankets, she called. Rose every blanket in the house. I'll get them. Rose ran. Eli put water on. We need it warm, not hot. The twin nodded and disappeared. Matt. Clara looked up at the boy. I need you to keep him talking. Don't let him sleep. Can you do that? Matt stared at his father's gray face. I don't know what to say. Anything. Tell him about your day. Tell him about school. Tell him you hate him. I don't care. Just keep him talking. The boy dropped to his knees beside Josiah. Pa. His voice shook. Pa, you gotta wake up. You gotta... He stopped, swallowed, started again. You can't leave. You hear me? You can't die. We already lost Mama. We can't lose you too. Josiah's eyes flickered open. Matt. I'm here, Pa. I'm right here. I'm sorry. The words came out broken. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to, after your mama. I didn't know how to be what you needed. I don't need you to be nothing. Matt was crying now, tears streaming down his face. I just need you to be here. That's all. Just be here. I'm here, Josiah whispered. I ain't going nowhere. Clara worked through the night. She split her time between Josiah and Sammy, warming one, cooling the other, praying for both. The doctor worked on Sammy for hours, medicine, poultices, techniques Clara didn't recognize. Near midnight, the fever broke. He's through the worst of it, the doctor said. Strong little thing. Got a fighter's spirit. Clara sagged against the wall. Thank God. And this one, The doctor nodded toward Josiah. Warming up, slowly. Fool thing riding out in a storm like that. He did it for his son. The doctor looked at her. Something shifted in his expression. You the new wife? I am. Mrs. Patterson told me about you. Said you was different from the others. How so? The doctor packed his bag. She said you looked like someone who'd been to hell and back and decided it wasn't hot enough to keep you. Clara almost laughed. Something like that. The doctor paused at the door. This family's been through a lot. Lost Sarah. Nearly lost everything that came after. They need someone willing to stick. I ain't going anywhere. Good. He tipped his hat. I'll be back in a few days to check on the boy. Keep them both resting. And Mrs. Brennan. Clara blinked. First time anyone had called her that. Yes? Josiah Brennan's a good man. Broken but good. Don't give up on him. Then he was gone, disappearing into the white. Clara closed the door, leaned against it, let out a breath she felt like she'd been holding for days. A voice behind her. Clara. She turned. Josiah was sitting up by the fire, pale, weak, but alive. The children, he said. All safe. Sammy's fever broke. The others are sleeping. Matt. In his room. He stayed with you until you fell asleep. Talked to you for 3 hours straight. Clara crossed to the hearth. I think that's the most words I've heard from him since I got here. Something crossed Josiah's face. Pain. Regret. I heard some of it, he said quietly. What he said. About losing his mama. About not wanting to lose me. He loves you. I know. He stopped, shook his head. I didn't know how to love him back. After Sarah, it was like that part of me just shut down. I could work. I could provide. But I couldn't feel nothing. Couldn't let myself. Why not? Because feeling things meant losing things. And I'd already lost too much. Clara sat down across from him. The fire crackled between them. Josiah, can I tell you something? He nodded. I know what it's like, to close off, to build walls so high nobody can climb them. It feels safe, but it ain't living. She met his eyes. And those children in there, they need a father who's alive, not just breathing, living. He was quiet for a long moment. Sarah used to say that, he whispered. Almost word for word. She'd get so mad at me when I'd go quiet. She'd say, Josiah Brennan, you're still here. Now act like it. Smart woman. She was. Smarter than me. He looked at Clara. Really looked. I ain't been fair to you. Bringing you here with no warning. Expecting you to fix what I couldn't. It wasn't right. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. Clara blinked. What? I'm sorry. For all of it. The silence. The coldness. Making you feel like just another hired hand instead of... He stopped. Instead of what? His jaw worked. I don't know yet, but I want to find out. If you'll let me. Clara felt something shift in her chest. Something that had been frozen for so long she'd forgotten it existed. I'll let you. The next few days passed in a strange kind of peace. Sammy recovered fast. Children always did, the doctor had said. Resilient little things. By the third day, he was up and moving, following Clara around the house like a shadow. Can I help? You can rest. I've been resting. I'm bored. Clara bit back a smile. Fine, you can help me sort these beans. What's wrong with them? Nothing. I just need something to keep your hands busy so you stop climbing the walls. He grinned. You sound like Mama. Clara's hands stilled. Tell me about her. Sammy's face clouded. I don't remember much, just little things. She smelled like bread, and she sang when she worked, and she called me her little bear. That's a good memory. Rose remembers more. She had nightmares about the bad stuff for a long time. He looked at Clara. But not since you came. That's so? Yeah. She said you held her. Nobody ever did that before. Not even Pa. Clara's chest hurt. Your Pa loves you all, she said carefully. He just forgot how to show it. Is he remembering now? Clara thought about the conversation by the fire, about the look in Josiah's eyes when he said he wanted to find out what she could be to him. I think so, she said. I think he's trying. Good. Sammy picked up a bean, examined it. 'Cause I like you, and I think he does too, even if he don't say it. Later that day, something happened that Clara didn't expect. She was in the kitchen scrubbing the last of the dishes when she heard footsteps behind her. Small. Hesitant. She turned. Emma stood in the doorway. The silent twin. The girl who hadn't spoken a word in 3 years. She held something in her hands. A piece of paper folded twice. Clara dried her hands, knelt down. What's this, sweetheart? Emma didn't answer. Just held out the paper. Clara took it, unfolded it. A drawing. Done in charcoal. A woman standing in front of a house holding hands with 5 children. The woman had dark hair like Clara's. The house looked like this house. At the bottom, in shaky letters, family. Clara's breath caught. She looked at Emma. The little girl's lips were moving. Stay. One word. Barely a whisper. Rough from years of silence. But it was there. Clara pulled Emma into her arms and held her tight. I ain't going anywhere, she whispered. I promise. Emma's arms wrapped around her neck, and somewhere in the back of her mind, Clara heard the sound of ice cracking. Things were finally starting to thaw. But the storm wasn't over yet. That evening a rider came. Clara was in the front room when she heard the horse. She went to the window, wiped away the frost. A man sat on a black mare, big, heavy coat, a hat pulled low over his face. He wasn't moving toward the house, just sitting there, watching. Clara felt something cold slide down her spine. Josiah appeared beside her. Who is that Trouble? You know him? I know the horse. Josiah's voice was flat. Dead. It belongs to Cornelius Crawford. Who's that? Josiah didn't answer. He grabbed his coat from the hook. Stay inside. Keep the children away from the windows. Josiah. I mean it, Clara. Don't come out, no matter what you hear. He walked outside. Clara watched through the frosted glass. The rider climbed down, walked toward Josiah. They stood face to face in the snow. Their voices were low. Clara couldn't hear what they said, but she could see Josiah's shoulders go rigid. She could see the rider lean in, threatening. She could see Josiah's hands ball into fists. Then the rider laughed, climbed back on his horse, tipped his hat, and rode away. Josiah stood in the snow for a long time, not moving, not turning. When he finally came back inside, his face was white. What did he want? Clara asked. Nothing. That didn't look like nothing. Clara? His voice was sharp. Leave it. He walked past her without another word. She heard him go upstairs, heard his door close. Matt appeared at the top of the stairs. Who was that man? I don't know. Pa looked scared. I ain't never seen Pa look scared before. Clara looked at the boy. Matt, what do you know about Cornelius Crawford? The boy's face went pale. He's the man who owns half this territory, Matt said quietly. And he wants to own the other half, including our land. Has he come before? Once, right after Mama died. He offered Pa money for the ranch, said we couldn't survive without a woman to run things. What did your Pa say? Matt's jaw tightened. He said he'd burn this place to the ground before he let Crawford have it. Clara looked out the window. The rider was gone, but the feeling of dread remained. What happened after that? Nothing. Crawford went away. Pa thought it was over. Matt paused. But then the letters started. What letters? I don't know. Pa wouldn't show me. But every time one came, he'd get real quiet, real scared. Clara's mind was racing. The crumbling barn, the empty pantry, the desperate need for a wife who would stay. Maybe this wasn't about grief at all. Maybe Josiah Brennan wasn't just broken. Maybe he was trapped. And whatever Cornelius Crawford wanted, he wasn't going to stop until he got it. Clara looked at Matt. I need to see those letters. They're in Pa's desk, locked drawer. Can you get into it? The boy hesitated. Why? Because I ain't about to let anyone take this family apart. Not Crawford. Not anyone. She met his eyes. But I can't fight what I can't see. Matt stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Tonight, after Pa falls asleep. Thank you. Don't thank me. He turned toward the stairs. Just keep your promise. Don't leave, no matter what's in them letters. I won't. You better not. He paused, looked back. Because whether I like it or not, them little ones are starting to love you. And if you break their hearts... He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Clara watched him go. Then she turned back to the window. The snow was falling harder now, and somewhere out there, a man named Cornelius Crawford was watching, waiting. But Clara had made a promise, and she intended to keep it, no matter what it cost her. Matt came to her room just past midnight. Clara was waiting. She hadn't slept, couldn't sleep, not with Crawford's shadow hanging over everything. You got them, she whispered. Matt held up a bundle of papers. His hands were shaking. I got them. But Clara... He stopped, swallowed hard. I looked at the first one. Just the first one. And... It ain't just about land. His voice cracked. It's about Mama. Clara's blood went cold. What do you mean? Just read them. He shoved the papers into her hands and backed toward the door. His face was white. His eyes were wet. Matt, wait. I can't. He was already in the hallway. I can't read no more. I can't know no more. Just fix it. Whatever it is, fix it. Then he was gone. Clara stood alone in the dark room, holding the letters like they were made of fire. She lit the candle on her dresser, sat on the edge of the bed, unfolded the first one. The handwriting was elegant, practiced. The hand of a man who'd had schooling. Mrs. Brennan, it began. I hope this letter finds you well. I think of you often, more than is proper for a man in my position. But I cannot help what the heart wants. Your husband does not deserve you. He is a simple man with simple dreams. You were made for finer things. I could give you those things. A house in town, servants, dresses from San Francisco, everything you've ever wanted. Leave him. Come to me. I will make you happier than he ever could. Yours in devotion. Cornelius Crawford. Clara's hands trembled. She picked up the next letter. Dated 3 months later. Sarah. You did not respond to my last correspondence. I understand. You are loyal. It is one of the things I admire about you. But loyalty can become a cage. And I have seen the way you look at that ranch. The exhaustion, the disappointment, the slow death of dreams. I can set you free. Think on it. CC. The next letter. 6 months after that. Sarah. I am losing patience. I have offered you everything. Comfort, security, love, and you continue to ignore me. Do you think your husband can protect you? Do you think that crumbling ranch will keep you safe? You are wrong. I always get what I want. Always. This is your final warning. CC. Clara's stomach turned. The next letter was different. The handwriting was the same, but the tone had shifted. Darker. Dangerous. Brennan, Your wife has made her choice. She has chosen you over me. A foolish decision, but one I will accept. However, choices have consequences. You have something I want. The North Pasture, the water rights, the access to the mountain pass. Sell them to me. Now, or I will take them, and I will take everything else you love in the process. You have 1 month. CC. Clara flipped to the next letter. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the paper. This one was dated 2 weeks before Sarah died. Brennan. Your month is up. You should have listened. CC. Clara dropped the letter like it had burned her. No. 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 She grabbed the last letter. The final one. Dated 3 days after Sarah's funeral. Brennan. My condolences on your loss. Tragic what happened. Childbirth is such a dangerous business. So many things can go wrong, especially when a woman doesn't have proper care. I hear the midwife was delayed. Road washed out, they say. Such terrible timing. Remember what I told you. I always get what I want. The offer still stands. Sell me the North Pasture, or the next tragedy won't be an accident. CC. Clara couldn't breathe. She read the letter again. And again. The midwife was delayed. Such terrible timing. The next tragedy won't be an accident. Crawford hadn't just wanted the land. He'd wanted Sarah. And when she chose Josiah, Clara pressed her hand over her mouth. Oh God. He killed her. Cornelius Crawford killed Sarah Brennan. Clara sat in the dark for a long time. The candle burned low. Her mind raced. She had to tell Josiah. Had to show him these letters. Had to make him understand what he was dealing with. But how? The man had been carrying this weight for 3 years. 3 years of knowing, or at least suspecting, that his wife's death wasn't natural. 3 years of guilt and fear and silence. No wonder he'd shut down. No wonder he'd built those walls. He wasn't just grieving. He was terrified. Clara gathered the letters, folded them carefully, hid them under her mattress. Then she lay down and stared at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come, but a plan did. Morning arrived with false brightness. Clara moved through her routine like a woman walking through water. Made breakfast, fed the children, cleaned the dishes. But her eyes kept finding Josiah. He sat at the table longer than usual, watching her. You didn't sleep, he said. Neither did you. I had things on my mind. So did I. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or the beginning of it. Clara. His voice dropped. That man yesterday, Crawford's man. He delivered a message. What kind of message? Josiah's jaw tightened. Crawford wants an answer. About the North Pasture. He's giving me until the end of the month. And if you don't sell? He didn't say. He didn't have to. Clara set down the dish she was holding. Josiah, I need to tell you something. Not here. He glanced toward the doorway where Sammy was playing with his wooden horse. Tonight, after the children are asleep. Clara nodded. But before she could say anything else, Rose burst into the kitchen. Clara, come quick. What is it? It's Emma. She's talking. Clara's heart stopped. She ran. Emma sat in the front room cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by her siblings. Her lips were moving. Sounds were coming out. Broken. Halting. But real. What's she saying? Clara knelt down beside her. Emma, sweetheart, what are you trying to say? The little girl looked at her with huge eyes. Bad man, she whispered. I saw him. When did you see him? Before. When Mama died. Emma's whole body trembled. He came to the house. The bad man. He talked to Mama. She was crying. She told him to go away. Clara's blood turned to ice. Do you remember what he looked like? Emma nodded slowly. Big, mean eyes. He had a ring, gold ring with a red stone. He wore it on his... She held up her left hand. This hand. Clara looked at Josiah. His face had gone gray. That's Crawford's ring, he said. His father's ring. He never takes it off. Josiah. He was here. Josiah's voice was barely a whisper. He was in my house. With my wife. And I never knew. Pa. Matt stepped forward. His face was pale, but determined. Pa, there's something else you need to know. Matthew. Clara found the letters. The words came out in a rush. I helped her get them. I know I shouldn't have, but Pa, you gotta read them. You gotta see what he wrote to Mama. Josiah went still. You went through my desk. I had to. We had to know. Those letters are none of your... He killed her Pa. The room went silent. Matt's voice broke. Crawford killed Mama. It's all there in the letters. He wanted her to leave you. She wouldn't. So he... The boy couldn't finish. Josiah looked at Clara. She saw it in his eyes. The moment the truth landed. The moment everything he'd suspected for 3 years became real. Show me, he said. Clara brought him the letters. He read them standing in the middle of the room. His children watched from the corners. Matt stood rigid by the fireplace. Rose held Emma close. Eli had pressed himself against the wall. Sammy clutched his wooden horse and didn't understand why everyone was crying. When Josiah finished, he didn't speak. He walked to the fireplace, braced his hands against the mantel. His shoulders heaved. 3 years, he said finally. 3 years I've been living under this man's shadow, paying his bribes, keeping my mouth shut, watching my children suffer, and all this time. His fist slammed against the wall. All this time I knew. In my gut I knew, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to face what it meant. What did it mean? Clara asked quietly. Josiah turned. His eyes were wet, raw. It meant I let the man who killed my wife walk free. It meant I was too scared to fight. It meant I sold my soul to a murderer just to keep a roof over my children's heads. You did what you had to do. No. He shook his head. I did what was easy. What was safe. I told myself I was protecting them, but I was protecting myself. From the truth. From the pain. From everything. He looked at his children. All 5 of them watching him with frightened eyes. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I should have been stronger. I should have fought. Your mama deserved better. You all deserved better. Matt moved first. He crossed the room in 3 steps and threw his arms around his father. Josiah froze. For a moment Clara thought he might push the boy away, thought the walls might slam back up. But they didn't. Josiah's arms came up, wrapped around his son, held on tight. I miss her, Pa, Matt whispered. I miss her so much. I know, son. I know. Rose joined them. Then Emma tugging Eli behind her. Then Sammy squeezing into the middle, not understanding, but wanting to be part of it. Clara stood back, watching, her heart full and breaking at the same time. This was what healing looked like. Messy, painful, beautiful, and long overdue. That night, after the children were finally asleep, Clara and Josiah sat by the fire. The letters lay on the table between them. What do we do now? Clara asked. I don't know. Josiah stared into the flames. Crawford owns half the territory. He's got judges in his pocket. Lawmen, too. If I go to the sheriff with these letters, he'll make them disappear. Or make me disappear. Clara was quiet for a moment. There has to be another way. Maybe. He looked at her. But I ain't gonna find it tonight. My head's too full. My heart's too heavy. Then rest. We'll figure it out together. In the morning. Together. He repeated the word like he was tasting it. I ain't had that in a long time. Someone willing to stand beside me. You've got it now. He reached across the space between them, took her hand. His palm was rough, warm, real. Clara. Yeah. Thank you. For staying. For fighting. For giving my children something I couldn't. What's that? Hope. She squeezed his hand. They ain't the only ones. He looked at her then, really looked, like he was seeing her for the first time. I don't deserve you, he said. Probably not. A ghost of a smile crossed his face, first one she'd seen. You're supposed to argue. I ain't much for lying. He laughed, soft, rusty, like a door that hadn't been opened in years. Sarah would have liked you, he said. She had a sharp tongue too. Sounds like a smart woman. She was. Smarter than me anyway. He paused. She told me once right before she died that if anything ever happened to her I shouldn't close off. Shouldn't let grief win. She made me promise to find happiness again. Did you keep that promise? No. His voice dropped. Not until now. Clara's heart stuttered. Josiah. I ain't asking for nothing, he said quickly. I know this ain't been fair to you. I know you didn't choose this, but I want you to know. He stopped, started again. I want you to know that you've changed things. In this house. In these children. In me. You've changed things too. How so? Clara looked at their joined hands, at the fire dying in the hearth, at the house that had started to feel like home. I spent 19 years believing I wasn't worth keeping, she said. That everyone who was supposed to love me would leave, that I was cursed, destined to be alone. And now I'm sitting here holding hands with a stubborn rancher who rode through a blizzard to save his son, whose children draw me pictures and follow me around and call me... She stopped. Call you what? Clara's throat tightened. Sammy called me Mama yesterday, just once. I don't think he even realized he did it. Josiah went still. How did that feel? Terrifying. She blinked back tears. And right. Like maybe this is where I was supposed to end up all along. Maybe it is. They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled, the wind whispered outside. Then Josiah stood. Still holding her hand, he pulled her gently to her feet. It's late, he said. You should sleep. So should you. I'll try. He hesitated. Clara, whatever happens with Crawford, whatever comes next, I want you to know something. What? He lifted her hand, pressed a kiss to her knuckles. Soft, reverent. You ain't just a woman I bought for $35. Not anymore. Maybe you never were. Clara couldn't speak. He released her hand, stepped back. Good night, Clara. Good night, Josiah. She watched him climb the stairs, heard his door close. Then she stood alone by the dying fire, her hand still warm where his lips had touched it, and felt something she'd thought was dead come roaring back to life. Hope. Real hope. And something else she wasn't ready to name yet. But she would be. Soon. The peace lasted 3 days. On the 4th morning, Clara was hanging laundry behind the house when she heard horses. Not one. Many. She dropped the sheet she was holding and ran around to the front. 6 men on horseback, all armed, all wearing the same hard expression, and at the front, on a black mare, sat a man Clara had never seen before. But she knew who he was. Big, well-dressed, cold eyes that swept over the property like he already owned it, and on his left hand a gold ring with a red stone. Cornelius Crawford had come to collect. Brennan. Crawford's voice rang out across the yard. I know you're in there. Come out. Let's talk like civilized men. The front door opened. Josiah stepped onto the porch. His rifle was in his hands. You're on my land, Crawford. For now. Crawford smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. But that can change. It's changing right now, in fact. Judge Harmon is reviewing your deed as we speak. Seems there might be some irregularities. There ain't no irregularities. That deed is solid. Is it funny how paperwork can get lost? Signatures can be questioned. Records can disappear. Crawford leaned forward in his saddle. I'm giving you one last chance, Brennan. Sell me the north pasture. Accept my price. Walk away with something instead of nothing. And if I don't? Crawford's smile widened. Then I take everything. The land, the house, the children. Clara's blood ran cold. Josiah's grip tightened on the rifle. You threatening my family? I'm stating facts. A man without property can't provide for his children. Courts don't look kindly on that. They might decide those little ones would be better off somewhere else. An orphanage, maybe. Or split up among good Christian families who can actually care for them. You son of a... Careful. Crawford held up a hand. There's a lady present. I assume that's the new wife I've heard about. His eyes found Clara. Something slithered across his face. Interest. Appetite. Mrs. Brennan, pleasure to meet you. I hear you came from back east. How are you finding our little corner of Wyoming? Clara didn't flinch. I'm finding it full of snakes. Crawford laughed. Spirit, I like that. Sarah had spirit too. Josiah stepped off the porch. Don't you say her name. Why not? We were friends, Sarah and I. Good friends. She used to confide in me. Tell me her troubles, her disappointments. His voice dropped. Her regrets. You're lying. Am I... She never told you about our conversations, never mentioned the letters I sent, the offers I made. Josiah's face went pale. Oh. Crawford's smile turned cruel. She didn't tell you. How interesting. I wonder what else she kept secret. Shut your mouth. Did she tell you about the day she came to see me? 3 weeks before she died? She was crying. Said she couldn't take it anymore. The poverty, the isolation, the husband who worked all day and never spoke 2 words to her at night. That's not true. She begged me to take her away, Brennan. Begged me. But I told her no. I told her she'd made her choice, and she had to live with it. Crawford paused. Or die with it. Josiah raised the rifle. Pa, no. Matt's voice came from the doorway. The boy had been watching, listening. Pa, that's what he wants. He wants you to shoot him so his men can kill you and take everything. Clara ran forward, grabbed Josiah's arm. He's right. Put it down. This isn't the way. Josiah was shaking. His eyes were wild. He killed her, Clara. He killed Sarah. I know. And he's going to pay for it. But not like this. Not in front of your children. For a long moment, Josiah didn't move. Then slowly he lowered the rifle. Crawford chuckled. Smart man. Listen to your wife, Brennan. She might be the only sensible one in this family. He gathered his reins, turned his horse. You have until the end of the week. Sell me the pasture, or lose everything. He rode away. His men followed. The dust settled. Josiah stood frozen in the yard, staring at nothing. Clara touched his arm. Josiah. He was lying. His voice was hollow. About Sarah. About all of it. She wouldn't have gone to him. She wouldn't have begged. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Then we'll find the truth. We'll find proof of what he did, and we'll make him pay. Clara stepped in front of him, made him look at her. But right now your children need you. They're scared. They need to see their father standing strong. Josiah's eyes focused on her. How? He whispered. How do you do it? Stay so calm when everything's falling apart. Practice. She took his hand. I've had a lot of practice. She led him back into the house. The children were huddled in the front room. Matt stood guard at the window. Rose had gathered the little ones close. Emma was crying. Silent tears streaming down her face. Is the bad man going to take us away? Sammy asked. His voice was small, terrified. I don't want to go to an orphanage. I want to stay here. I want to stay with you. Clara knelt down, pulled him into her arms. Nobody's taking you anywhere. Not Crawford, not anyone. This is your home, and I'm going to make sure it stays that way. How? She looked at Josiah, at Matt, at all of them. I don't know yet, she admitted. But we're going to figure it out, together, like a family. Sammy buried his face against her shoulder. I love you, Mama Clara. There it was again. That word. Mama. Clara held him tighter. I love you too, sweet boy. And she meant it. God help her, she meant it. That night Clara couldn't sleep. She lay in the dark, turning plans over in her mind, discarding them, starting again. Crawford had money, power, connections. They had nothing. Except Clara sat up. The letters. Crawford didn't know they had the letters. He didn't know that Emma had seen him at the house. He didn't know that his careful web of lies was unraveling. Maybe they couldn't beat him with money, but maybe they could beat him with truth. She threw off the blankets, grabbed her shawl, crept down the stairs. Josiah was sitting by the dying fire. Can't sleep either, she asked. Too much thinking. She sat down across from him. I have an idea. I'm listening. Crawford's power comes from fear. People are scared of him because they think he's untouchable. But he's not. He's just a man who makes mistakes. What kind of mistakes? The kind he wrote down. Clara leaned forward. Those letters are evidence, Josiah. Evidence of harassment. Evidence of threats. Maybe even evidence of murder. The local courts won't touch him. Then we go over their heads. There's got to be someone. A federal marshal. A territorial judge who ain't in Crawford's pocket. Josiah shook his head. You don't understand how things work out here. Crawford owns everything. Everyone. Not everyone. Clara thought of something. What about Martha Holloway? You mentioned her once. Said she was Sarah's friend. Josiah went still. Martha's got her own ranch, east of here. She never liked Crawford. Does she have influence? Some. Her husband was a territorial judge before he died. She knows people. Then we go to her. We show her the letters. We tell her what Emma saw. We build a case. And if Crawford finds out? Clara met his eyes. Then we fight. Together. Like I said. Josiah was quiet for a long time. Then slowly he nodded. All right. Tomorrow. We ride to Martha's. What about the children? Matt can watch them. He's old enough. And if something happens... Josiah stopped. Nothing's going to happen. You don't know that. No. Clara reached across and took his hand. But I know we ain't got a choice. Crawford gave us until the end of the week. That's 4 days. We use them, or we lose everything. Josiah looked at their joined hands. You really ain't scared of nothing, are you? I'm scared of plenty. I just don't let it stop me. He lifted his eyes to hers. You're something else, Clara Whitmore. It's Brennan now. Something flickered in his face. Yeah, I suppose it is. He didn't let go of her hand, and Clara didn't pull away. They sat like that until the fire died. Two broken people holding onto each other in the dark, finding strength they didn't know they had, because tomorrow everything would change, one way or another. They left before dawn. Clara rode beside Josiah in the wagon, the letters hidden inside her dress, pressed against her heart. The children had watched them go from the porch, 5 small figures huddled together in the gray morning light. Matt had stood in front, his jaw set, the rifle in his hands. I'll keep them safe, Pa. I know you will, son. If Crawford's men come... They won't, not yet. He thinks he's already won. Josiah had gripped Matt's shoulder. But if anything happens, you take them to the Hendersons' farm. You hear me? Don't try to be a hero. Yes, sir. Clara had knelt in front of the others. Sammy's lip was trembling. Rose had Emma's hand in a death grip. The twins pressed together like always. We'll be back tonight, Clara had said. Tomorrow at the latest. You mind your brother. What if you don't come back? Sammy's voice broke. What if the bad man... Hey. Clara cupped his face. Look at me. I made you a promise. Remember, I ain't going anywhere. Not today. Not ever. Promise? Promise. She'd kissed his forehead, hugged Rose, touched Emma's cheek. Then she'd climbed into the wagon and hadn't looked back. Because if she had, she might not have left at all. The ride to Martha Holloway's took 4 hours. They didn't talk much. The cold was too bitter, the wind too loud, and they were both too scared of what lay ahead. But somewhere around the 2nd hour, Josiah reached over and took Clara's hand. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. Martha Holloway was nothing like Clara expected. She'd pictured a soft woman, elderly, fragile. Instead, the person who met them at the door was tall, silver-haired, and looked like she could wrestle a bear and win. Josiah Brennan. Martha's voice was sharp as broken glass. It's been 3 years since you set foot on my property. You got a lot of nerve showing up now. Martha, I need your help. Help. After you shut me out, after Sarah died, and you wouldn't let me near your children. I tried to come to the funeral. Josiah, your man turned me away at the gate. Josiah's face twisted. I know. I was wrong. I was scared and broken, and I pushed everyone away. You sure did. But I ain't here for me. He stepped aside, revealed Clara. I'm here for her, for my children, for Sarah. Martha's eyes narrowed. What do you mean for Sarah? I mean Crawford killed her. The silence that followed was thick enough to cut. Martha's face went pale, then hard, then dangerous. Get inside, she said. Both of you. Now. They sat in Martha's kitchen while Clara spread the letters across the table. Martha read each one without speaking. Her face grew darker with every page. When she finished, she sat back. Her hands were shaking. I knew it, she whispered. I knew that bastard had something to do with it. You suspected? Clara asked. More than suspected. Sarah came to me about a month before she died. She was scared. Said Crawford had been writing her, following her, showing up places he had no business being. Martha's voice cracked. She made me promise not to tell Josiah. Said she didn't want to worry him. Said she could handle it herself. Josiah made a sound like he'd been gut-punched. She knew. His voice was raw. She knew he was after her and she didn't tell me. She was protecting you. Same way you've been protecting those children by keeping your mouth shut about Crawford's threats. It ain't the same. It's exactly the same. Martha leaned forward. Sarah loved you, Josiah. More than anything in this world. She knew that if you found out what Crawford was doing, you'd go after him. And she knew you'd lose. So she kept quiet. Tried to handle it herself. And it killed her. Maybe, maybe not. Martha looked at Clara. You said the girl saw something, Emma. She saw Crawford at the house, talked to Sarah, made her cry. When? She don't know exactly. But it was before Sarah died, maybe a week or 2. Martha drummed her fingers on the table. That matches. Sarah came to see me around then. Said she'd told Crawford to leave her alone for good. Said she'd threatened to go to the territorial marshal if he didn't stop. Clara's heart pounded. And then she died. And then she died. Martha's eyes were hard as iron. The midwife was supposed to come that night. I remember because Sarah had asked me to send word. But she never showed. Said the road was washed out. Crawford's letter mentioned that, Josiah said. He wrote about how tragic it was that the midwife was delayed. Because he delayed her. Martha stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. That evil, scheming, murdering son of a bitch, he did it. He actually did it. Clara grabbed the letters. Can we prove it? Maybe. If we can find the midwife, if she'll talk. Martha paced the room. Her name was Ada Simmons. She left town right after Sarah died, moved to Denver. I always wondered why. You think Crawford paid her off? Or scared her off? Either way, she's our best witness. Josiah stood. Then we go to Denver. It's a 3-day ride. I don't care. You should. Martha stopped pacing, looked at him hard. Crawford gave you until the end of the week. That's 3 days from now. If you're not back by then, my children will be orphans. Josiah's voice was hollow. I know. Clara stepped forward. Then we split up. Josiah goes to Denver. I stay here with Martha and we work on building the case locally. No. Josiah grabbed her arm. I ain't leaving you. You ain't got a choice. We need that midwife. Without her testimony, these letters are just paper. And if Crawford comes after you while I'm gone, then I'll handle him. Clara. I ain't made of glass, Josiah. She met his eyes. I've survived worse than Cornelius Crawford. I can survive 3 more days. He stared at her for a long moment. Then his hand came up, cupped her face. If anything happens to you, it won't. If it does, it won't. She covered his hand with hers. But if it does, you get those children out. You take them somewhere Crawford can't reach. And you raise them to be strong and kind and brave. That's all I'd ask. That's a lot to ask. I know you can do it. His thumb brushed her cheek. For a moment, Clara thought he might kiss her, but he didn't. He stepped back, dropped his hand. I'll be back in 3 days, he said. With the midwife, with proof. And then Crawford's going to pay for what he did. I'll be waiting. He walked to the door, stopped. Clara. Yeah. Don't do anything stupid. She almost smiled. I'll try. He left. The door closed behind him. And Clara stood in Martha Holloway's kitchen clutching the letters that might save her family, and prayed she hadn't just watched her husband ride to his death. The next 2 days passed in a blur of planning. Martha proved to be more valuable than Clara had hoped. She knew people, judges, lawyers, a territorial marshal who'd had run-ins with Crawford before and was looking for any excuse to bring him down. Tom Brennan, Martha said, pulling out paper and ink. No relation to Josiah. He's been after Crawford for years, but never had enough evidence. These letters might change that. Can we trust him? With our lives. He's one of the few honest men left in this territory. They sent a messenger to Helena, where Marshal Brennan was stationed. The message was simple. Come to Holloway Ranch immediately. Evidence of murder. Then they waited. On the second evening, Clara was sitting by the fire when Martha came to join her. You should sleep, the older woman said. Can't. Too much thinking. About Crawford. About everything. Clara stared into the flames. 3 weeks ago, I was nobody. A girl sold to a stranger for $35. Now I'm... She stopped. Now you're what? I don't know. A wife, I suppose. A mother. Something I never thought I'd be. Martha sat down across from her. You love them. The children. Yeah, more than I thought possible. And Josiah? Clara's heart stuttered. What about him? Don't play coy with me, girl. I've been alive long enough to recognize that look. Clara didn't answer. Martha smiled. Sarah would approve, you know. She wanted Josiah to find someone. To be happy again. She told me that right before she died. She knew. She suspected. The pregnancy was difficult from the start. She had a feeling something was wrong. Martha's voice softened. She made me promise to look after him, to make sure he didn't close off. I failed her. You tried. Not hard enough. I should have pushed harder, should have been there for those children. She looked at Clara. But you did what I couldn't. You broke through his walls. You gave those kids their father back. Clara shook her head. They did that themselves. I just... A knock at the door. Both women froze. The knock came again. Harder. Martha grabbed the rifle from above the fireplace. Who's there? Martha Holloway. A man's voice, deep, authoritative. It's Tom Brennan. You sent for me. Martha let out a breath, crossed to the door, opened it. The man who stepped inside was tall, broad-shouldered with a marshal's star pinned to his chest. His eyes swept the room, took in Clara, took in the letters spread across the table. "So," he said, "tell me about Cornelius Crawford." They talked until midnight. Marshal Brennan read every letter, listened to every detail, asked questions Clara hadn't even thought of. When they finished, he sat back and let out a long breath. "This is good," he said. "Better than good. If we can get Ada Simmons to testify." Josiah's gone to Denver to find her. Alone. He didn't have a choice. Brennan nodded slowly. "Crawford doesn't know about any of this." "Not yet." "Good. Let's keep it that way." He stood. "I'm going to ride to Helena, get papers drawn up. If everything goes right, we can arrest Crawford by the end of the week." "And if something goes wrong?" The marshal looked at her. "Then we improvise. It's what we do out here." He left at dawn. Clara watched him go, hope flickering in her chest. Maybe this was really going to work. Maybe they were actually going to win. She should have known it was too easy. The riders came that afternoon. Clara heard them before she saw them. Thunder of hooves, shouting. The crack of a rifle shot. She ran to the window. 6 men, Crawford's men, surrounding the house, and in front of them, on a black horse, sat Crawford himself. "Mrs. Holloway." His voice rang out across the yard. "I know you're in there. I know you've got the Brennan woman with you. Send her out. Now." Martha grabbed her rifle. "Get to the cellar." "No." "Clara." "I ain't hiding." Clara walked to the door. "He wants me. He can face me." "That's suicide." "Maybe." Clara looked back at her. "But if I run now, he'll never stop. He'll come after the children, after Josiah, after everyone I love." She straightened her shoulders. "At least this way it ends." "Clara, please." She opened the door, stepped onto the porch. Crawford smiled when he saw her. "Mrs. Brennan, so good of you to join us." "How did you know I was here?" "I have eyes everywhere. Surely you've figured that out by now." He leaned forward in his saddle. "Where's your husband?" "Gone." "Gone where?" Clara didn't answer. Crawford's smile faded. "I see. Well, no matter. You'll do just as well." "Do for what?" "Leverage." He gestured to his men. "Take her." 2 men dismounted, started toward the porch. Clara's heart pounded, but she didn't move. "Touch me and you'll regret it." The men laughed. "That's so." One of them stepped closer. "And who's gonna make us regret it? You?" "No." A voice came from behind Clara, cold, hard. "I am." Martha stepped onto the porch, rifle leveled at the man's chest. "Get off my property, Crawford." "Martha, always a pleasure." Crawford's voice dripped contempt. "Put the gun down before you hurt yourself." "I hit what I aim at. Always have." 1 woman against 6 men. Those aren't good odds. Maybe not, but I'll take at least 2 of you with me before I go down. She smiled grimly. Question is, which 2? The men hesitated. Crawford's jaw tightened. "You're making a mistake, Martha. Both of you. I'm trying to be reasonable here." "Reasonable?" Clara's voice shook with fury. "You killed Sarah Brennan. You've been terrorizing her family for years. You threatened to take her children, and you want to talk about reasonable?" Something flickered in Crawford's eyes. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about." Clara stepped forward. "I've read your letters, Crawford, all of them. I know what you did, what you threatened, what you are. Those letters don't prove anything. Maybe not by themselves, but we've got a witness." Crawford went still. "What witness?" "Emma Brennan saw you at the house, right before Sarah died. She heard you talking, heard you threatening. Clara's voice was steady now, strong. She can identify you, and she will. A child's testimony means nothing. It means enough, combined with the letters, combined with Ada Simmons. Crawford's face went white. That's right, Clara said. We know about the midwife, we know you paid her to stay away, and we know where to find her. You're bluffing. M.I. Josiah's on his way to Denver right now. By the time he gets back, we'll have everything we need to put you in prison. Clara smiled. Or worse. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Crawford laughed. It was a terrible sound. Cold. Empty. You think you've won, he said. You think your little plan is going to work. But you don't understand how things work out here, Mrs. Brennan. I own this territory. I own the judges, the lawyers, the lawmen. By the time your husband gets back from Denver, if he gets back, there won't be anything left to save. Clara's blood went cold. What do you mean? I mean things are about to change. Crawford gathered his reins. Starting tonight. He turned his horse. Crawford! Martha called. If you touch those children. Children. Crawford looked back. His smile was ice. What children? Then he rode away. His men followed, and Clara stood on the porch, her whole body shaking, understanding hitting her like a hammer to the chest. Crawford wasn't coming for her, he was going for the children. Clara was in the saddle before Martha could stop her. Clara, wait. Think about this. There's nothing to think about. Clara grabbed the reins. He's going to hurt them. I have to get there. You'll never make it in time. It's 4 hours to the Brennan Ranch. Crawford's got a head start. Then I'll ride faster. You'll kill yourself. I don't care. Clara's voice broke. Those are my children, Martha. Mine. I won't let him touch them. She kicked the horse. The animal lunged forward. Behind her, Martha was shouting something, but Clara couldn't hear over the wind in her ears. All she could think about was Sammy's face, Rose's nightmares, Emma's one-word stay. Matt standing on the porch with a rifle trying to be brave. She'd promised them. She'd promised she'd come back. And if Crawford got there first, Clara rode like death itself was chasing her. The sun was setting when she finally saw the ranch. Her horse was foaming. Her body ached. But she didn't slow down. She could see smoke rising from behind the house. No. No, no, no. She pushed the horse harder, crossed the last mile in a blur. The barn was on fire. Flames shot into the darkening sky. Animals screamed. Smoke billowed in thick black clouds. Clara leaped from the saddle before the horse stopped, ran toward the house. The front door was open, hanging off its hinges. Matt! Clara screamed. Sammy Rose! No answer. She ran inside. The house was dark, empty. Furniture overturned. A chair smashed against the wall. Signs of a struggle. Clara's heart stopped. Where are you? She ran through the rooms, kitchen, parlor, upstairs. Please, please answer me. Nothing. They were gone. All of them. Gone. Clara sank to her knees in the middle of the front room. The smoke from the barn was seeping through the broken windows. Her lungs burned. Her eyes streamed. But she couldn't move. She'd failed. She'd made a promise and she'd failed. Crawford had taken them, all 5 of her children, and there was nothing she could do. A sound, faint, from somewhere below. Clara's head snapped up. She listened. There it was again. Knocking, muffled shouting. The cellar. Clara scrambled to her feet, ran to the kitchen, found the trapdoor, locked from the outside. She threw the bolt, yanked the door open. 5 faces stared up at her from the darkness. Matt, Rose, Emma, Eli, Sammy, alive, all of them alive. Clara collapsed onto her knees and pulled them out one by one into her arms. Oh God! Oh, thank God! Sammy was crying. Rose was shaking. The twins clung to each other. Emma had buried her face against Clara's shoulder, and Matt stood apart. His face was bruised. His lip was bleeding. I tried to stop them, he said. His voice was hollow. I tried, but there were too many. They came in fast. Grabbed the little ones before I could. He broke off. You did good. Clara reached for him, pulled him close. You kept them safe. You got them into the cellar. They set the barn on fire. Said they'd be back for us. Said, shh. Clara held him tighter. They ain't coming back. Not while I'm here. But Crawford made a mistake. Clara pulled back, looked at all of them. He thought he could scare us, break us, but he forgot something important. What? Sammy whispered. We're Brennans. Clara smiled through her tears. And Brennans don't break. Matt stared at her. Then slowly, something shifted in his face. You really are one of us now, he said. Yeah. Clara cupped his bruised cheek. I really am. Outside, the barn continued to burn. Inside, a family held on to each other and refused to let go. And somewhere on the road between Denver and Wyoming, Josiah Brennan was riding through the night carrying proof that would bring a monster to justice. He just had to make it home first. The fire burned itself out by midnight. Clara got the children into bed, barricaded the doors, kept the rifle close. They were safe. For now. But Crawford would be back. She knew that. He'd played his hand, shown his true colors. There was no going back now. Tomorrow, everything would change. She just had to survive until then. Clara sat by the window, watching the darkness, waiting for dawn, and praying that Josiah would make it home in time. The sound of hooves came just before sunrise. Clara grabbed the rifle, ran to the window. A single rider. Coming fast. Her heart stopped, then started again. Because she knew that shape, that silhouette. Josiah. She threw open the door and ran. He was off the horse before it stopped, catching her in his arms, holding her so tight she couldn't breathe. I saw the smoke, he gasped. From miles away. I thought, I'm here. Clara pulled back, looked at him. We're all here. The children are safe. Crawford came. Last night. Burned the barn, tried to take the children. Her voice shook. Matt got them into the cellar, kept them hidden until I got here. Josiah's jaw tightened. I'm going to kill him. Not yet. First tell me. Did you find her, the midwife? Josiah reached into his coat, pulled out a folded paper. She wrote a confession, he said. Everything. How Crawford paid her to stay away. How he threatened her family if she talked. How she's lived with the guilt every day for 3 years. Clara took the paper with trembling hands. This is it. This is enough. Enough to arrest him. Enough to try him. Josiah's voice was hard. Enough to hang him. Clara looked up at her husband. Then let's finish this. Marshal Tom Brennan arrived at the ranch 2 hours after sunrise. He came with 6 deputies, armed, ready. Clara met them on the porch, Josiah beside her, the children watching from the windows. You got the confession? Brennan asked. Josiah handed over the papers, the letters, Ada Simmons's written testimony, everything they'd gathered. Brennan read through it all. His face grew darker with every page. This is enough, he said finally. More than enough. Then arrest him, Clara said. Today. Now. It ain't that simple. Why not? Brennan looked at her. Crawford's holed up at his ranch. He's got 30 men, armed, loyal. If we ride in there without a plan, it'll be a bloodbath. So what do? We draw him out. Brennan folded the papers, tucked them inside his coat. Crawford's got a weakness, his pride. He won't hide forever. He'll want to face you. Prove he's still in control. Josiah stepped forward. You want to use us as bait. I want to end this without anyone else dying. If Crawford comes to you, we take him, clean, quick. And if he brings his men, then we'll be ready. Brennan looked at his deputies. We'll position around the property, hidden. The moment Crawford shows himself, we move. Clara's stomach churned. What about the children? Send them to Martha's. They'll be safe there. No. Matt's voice came from the doorway. He stepped onto the porch, his chin raised. I ain't leaving. Matt, Josiah started. This is my home, my family. I got a right to defend it. You're 12 years old. Old enough to shoot. Old enough to help. Matt's eyes burned. Crawford killed my mama. He tried to take my brothers and sisters. You think I'm gonna run and hide while y'all face him? Clara looked at Josiah. Josiah looked at his son. Something passed between them. Father to son, man to man. All right, Josiah said quietly. But you stay inside. You keep the rifle ready. And if I tell you to run, you run. Understood? Yes, sir. The little ones go to Martha's. That ain't negotiable. Matt nodded. I'll tell them. He disappeared inside. Brennan let out a breath. That boy's got fire. He's got his mother's stubbornness, Josiah said, and his father's temper. Dangerous combination. It is. Josiah looked at Clara. But it's what's going to keep him alive. They sent the younger children with one of Brennan's deputies. Clara knelt in front of them, holding back tears. You mind, Mr. Harrison? She said. You stay with Martha until we come for you. How long? Sammy's voice trembled. Not long. A day. Maybe 2. Promise. That word again. That impossible word. Clara pulled him close. I promise. Rose was next. She threw her arms around Clara's neck. I don't want to go. I know, sweetheart. But I need you to be brave. I need you to take care of the little ones. Can you do that for me? Rose nodded against her shoulder. That's my girl. Emma didn't speak. She just looked at Clara with those big haunted eyes. Then she reached out, touched Clara's face. Mama? She whispered. Clara's heart shattered and rebuilt in the same moment. I'll see you soon, baby, I promise. The twins went last, Eli silent as always, Emma holding his hand. Clara watched them climb into the wagon, watched the deputy drive them away, and she prayed it wasn't the last time she'd see their faces. They waited. The day crawled by. The sun moved across the sky. The tension built like pressure before a storm. Clara sat by the window watching the road. Josiah paced. Matt checked and rechecked his rifle. He'll come, Brennan said. A man like Crawford can't stand being challenged. It eats at him. What if you're wrong? Then we go to him. But I ain't wrong. Brennan's jaw tightened. I've been chasing men like Crawford my whole career. They're all the same, arrogant, entitled. They think they're untouchable. Ain't he? Nobody's untouchable. Brennan looked at Clara. You proved that. A woman bought for $35 taking down the most powerful man in the territory. That ain't nothing. Clara almost laughed. I ain't taken him down yet. You will. The riders appeared just before dusk. Clara saw them first. Dark shapes against the fading light, moving fast. He's coming, she said. Everyone moved. Brennan and his deputies disappeared into their positions, behind the well, the woodpile, the remains of the burned barn. Josiah grabbed his rifle. Get inside. No. Clara. I ain't hiding, not this time. She met his eyes. Whatever happens, we face it together. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Together. They stood on the porch side by side as Crawford's men rode into the yard. There were 12 of them, all armed, all dangerous. Crawford sat at the front, his black horse prancing beneath him. His face was calm, almost pleasant. Brennan, he called. I heard you were looking for me. I was. And here I am. Crawford spread his hands. What seems to be the problem? You know damn well what the problem is. Do I? Crawford's eyes found Clara. Ah, the new wife. Still here, I see. I'm impressed. Most women would have run by now. I ain't most women. No, you're not. Something cold slithered across his face. You're a problem. A problem I intend to solve. Try it. Crawford laughed. Spirit. I do admire spirit. He looked at Josiah. Your first wife had spirit too, right up until the end. Josiah's grip tightened on the rifle. Don't talk about her. Why not? We were friends, Sarah and I. Good friends. Crawford's smile turned cruel. She used to tell me everything. Her hopes, her fears, her disappointments. You're lying. Am I? She never told you about our arrangement. Clara felt Josiah go rigid beside her. There was no arrangement, he said. Of course there was. She agreed to come to me, to leave you. We had it all planned out. Crawford's voice dropped. But then she changed her mind, said she couldn't do it, said she loved you too much. Stop. I gave her a choice, Brennan. Me or you. She chose wrong. I said stop. So I made sure she couldn't choose again. Josiah raised the rifle. Don't. Brennan's voice cut through the tension. He stepped out from behind the well, his own weapon trained on Crawford. That's what he wants. An excuse. Crawford's men shifted. Hands moved toward holsters. Easy, Brennan said. Everyone stay easy. Crawford looked at the marshal with something like amusement. Tom Brennan, I wondered when you'd show your face. It's over, Crawford. We've got the letters. We've got the midwife's confession. We've got everything. Do you, and what exactly do you have? Enough to hang you. For the first time, something flickered in Crawford's eyes. Fear, maybe. Or just calculation. The midwife, he said slowly. Ada Simmons. I thought I'd dealt with her. You thought wrong. Crawford was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. Well, it seems I've underestimated you all. He gathered his reins. No matter. Confessions can be recanted. Witnesses can disappear. Papers can burn. Not this time. We'll see. Crawford turned his horse. This isn't over, Brennan, not by a long shot. Actually, Clara said it is. Crawford stopped. Clara stepped off the porch, walked toward him. Her heart pounded, but her voice was steady. You think you're in control. You think you can threaten and bribe and murder your way out of anything. She stopped a few feet from his horse, looked up at him. But you made a mistake. Did I? You came after my family. Crawford's smile faded. Those children you tried to take. They're mine. That man you've been threatening, he's mine. This land you want so bad, mine. Clara's voice hardened. And I don't let go of what's mine. You're a fool. Maybe. But I'm a fool with nothing left to lose. She took another step closer. You killed Sarah Brennan. You terrorized her family. You burned their barn. You tried to take their children. And now you're going to pay for all of it. With what evidence? The ravings of a drunk midwife. Some old letters. With this. Clara reached into her dress, pulled out a piece of paper. Crawford's eyes narrowed. What is that? Your father's will, the real one. Clara held it up. The one that says all of Crawford's assets go to his legitimate heirs upon his death. His legitimate heirs, Crawford, not his bastard son. The color drained from Crawford's face. Where did you get that? Ada Simmons. Turns out your father wasn't just paying her to deliver babies. He was paying her to hide things, important things. Clara smiled. Things like the fact that you were born 6 months before your parents' wedding. Things like the fact that you have no legal claim to a single acre of Crawford land. That's a lie. Is it your father knew? That's why he kept the real will hidden. He was going to disinherit you. Leave everything to your cousin in St. Louis. Clara's voice was ice. But he died before he could file the papers, and you made sure nobody ever found out the truth. Crawford's horse shifted beneath him. His hands were shaking. "You can't prove any of this." "I can, and I will." Clara looked at Brennan. "Marshall." Brennan stepped forward. "Cornelius Crawford, you're under arrest for the murder of Sarah Brennan. For conspiracy. For arson. For attempted kidnapping." He paused. "And for fraud." Crawford's men looked at each other. Uncertainty rippled through them. "Stand down," one of them said. "This ain't our fight." "The hell it isn't," Crawford snarled. "I pay you. I own you." "Not anymore." The man holstered his weapon. "I ain't dying for a bastard with no claim." One by one, the others followed. Crawford sat alone on his horse, surrounded by men who'd abandoned him. "This isn't over," he said. His voice was hollow, desperate. "I'll get the best lawyers. I'll fight this." "You can try." Brennan moved forward. "But I don't think it'll help. Get off the horse, Crawford, nice and slow." For a long moment, Crawford didn't move. Then his hand shot toward his holster. The gunshot cracked across the yard. But it wasn't Crawford's. It was Matt's. The boy stood on the porch rifle, raised smoke curling from the barrel. Crawford's pistol flew from his hand. He clutched his wrist, screaming. "You little—" "Don't!" Matt's voice was steady. "Don't you say another word about my mama." Brennan's deputies swarmed forward. They pulled Crawford from his horse, slammed him face first into the dirt, cuffed his hands behind his back. Clara turned. Matt was still standing there, rifle raised, his whole body shaking. She crossed to him, took the rifle gently from his hands. "You did good," she said. "I didn't kill him." "No, you didn't." "I wanted to." His voice cracked. "God help me, I wanted to." "I know." Clara pulled him into her arms. "But you didn't. And that's what matters." Matt broke. 3 years of grief. 3 years of anger. 3 years of carrying a weight no child should carry. It all came pouring out. He sobbed against Clara's shoulder, and she held him, and Josiah came and wrapped his arms around them both. They stood like that for a long time. A family forged in fire, broken and rebuilt and stronger than before. Behind them, Crawford was dragged away screaming about lawyers and revenge. But nobody listened. Nobody cared. It was over. The trial took 3 weeks. Clara testified. Josiah testified. Matt testified. Even Emma, with her halting words and trembling voice, told the court what she'd seen. Ada Simmons came from Denver. She sat in the witness stand and told the whole story. How Crawford had paid her to stay away the night Sarah died. How he'd threatened her family if she ever talked. How she'd lived with the guilt every day for 3 years. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Murder, conspiracy, arson, fraud, attempted kidnapping. Crawford was sentenced to hang. Clara didn't go to the execution. Neither did Josiah. "I don't need to watch him die," Josiah said. "I just needed to know he couldn't hurt anyone else. And now you know. And now I know." They stood on the porch watching the children play in the yard. The new barn was half built. The house had been repaired. Life was returning to normal, whatever normal meant anymore. "Clara." "Yeah." Josiah turned to face her. His eyes were clear, peaceful. The haunted look that had lived there for 3 years was finally gone. "I need to tell you something." "What?" "That night, when I rode out in the blizzard to get the doctor for Sammy, when I almost died." "I remember." "You said something to me. When I came through the door, you said I didn't get to leave, that those children needed me." He paused. "That you needed me." Clara's heart stuttered. "I was scared. People say things. Did you mean it?" She looked at him, at this man who'd bought her for $35, who'd barely spoken to her for weeks, who'd built walls so high she'd thought she'd never breach them, and who'd torn those walls down brick by brick for her. "Yeah," she said. "I meant it. Good. He stepped closer. Because I need you too. More than I knew how to say. More than I thought I could. Josiah. I loved Sarah. I'll always love Sarah. But she's gone. And you're here. His hand came up, cupped her face. You saved my children. You saved my home. You saved me. And I don't know how to thank you for that. You don't have to thank me. Then let me love you. His voice was rough. Raw. Not because I bought you. Not because it's practical. Because somewhere in the middle of all this chaos, I fell in love with you. And I don't want to spend another day pretending I didn't. Clara felt tears spilling down her cheeks. I love you too, she whispered. Josiah kissed her. Soft at first. Tentative. Like he was asking permission. Then deeper. Harder. 3 years of loneliness and grief and desperate hope pouring out of him. Clara kissed him back. And in that moment, standing on the porch of a house that had once felt like a prison, she finally understood what home meant. It wasn't a place. It wasn't a building. It was the people who chose to stay. Ew. They broke apart. Sammy stood at the bottom of the porch steps, his face scrunched up in disgust. Are you kissing? We are, Josiah said. Why? Because that's what married people do. Sammy considered this. I ain't never getting married then. Clara laughed. Come here, you. She scooped him up. He squirmed in her arms, but he was smiling. Are you happy, Mama Clara? There it was again, that word. Mama. Yeah, sweetheart, she said. I'm happy. Good. He threw his arms around her neck. I'm happy too. Months passed. The ranch recovered. The cattle thrived. The horses Josiah bred became famous across the territory for their strength and spirit. The children grew. Matt turned 13. He was taller now, broader in the shoulders. The anger that had lived in him for so long had softened into something else. Protectiveness. Purpose. He worked alongside his father every day, learning the ranch, preparing for the day it would be his. Rose started smiling again. Really smiling. She helped Clara in the kitchen, learned to sew spent hours reading by the fire. The nightmares came less and less often. The twins came out of their shells. Eli started talking more, his voice soft but steady. Emma's words came easier now, though she was still quiet. But when she spoke, people listened. And Sammy was everywhere, asking questions, making mischief, following Clara around like a shadow. Mama Clara, why do horses sleep standing up? Mama Clara, can I have a cookie? Mama Clara, when's the baby coming? Clara's hand went to her stomach. She hadn't told anyone yet, hadn't even told Josiah. She'd wanted to wait, to be sure. But Sammy had noticed the changes before anyone else. Who told you about a baby? Clara asked. Nobody. I figured it out myself. Sammy grinned. I'm smart. You sure are. Is it going to be a boy or a girl? I don't know yet. I hope it's a boy, then I won't be the littlest anymore. He paused. But a girl would be okay too, as long as she don't cry too much. Clara pulled him close. I'll see what I can do. She told Josiah that night. They were sitting by the fire, the house quiet around them. The children were asleep. The ranch was peaceful. Josiah. I'm pregnant. He went completely still. You're... His voice cracked. You're sure? I'm sure. How long? 3 months, maybe 4. He stood up, paced to the window, paced back. A baby, he said. We're having a baby. We are. After everything. After Sarah. He stopped, pressed his hand over his mouth. Clara stood, crossed to him, took his hands. I know you're scared, she said. I'm scared too, but we're not alone anymore. We've got each other. We've got the children. We've got this family we built from nothing. What if something goes wrong? Then we face it, together. And if I can't, if I'm not strong enough, you are. Clara squeezed his hands. You're the strongest man I've ever known. You just forgot for a while. But you remember now, don't you? Josiah looked at her, and then he was crying. Tears streaming down his face, his whole body shaking. Clara held him. Let him cry. Let him grieve. Let him feel everything he'd been holding back for 3 years. I'm so scared, he whispered. I know. I can't lose anyone else. You won't. Promise. Clara pulled back, looked into his eyes. I can't promise you nothing bad will ever happen, but I can promise you this, I ain't going anywhere. No matter what comes, no matter how hard it gets. I'll be right here, fighting for you, fighting for this family, until my last breath. Josiah stared at her. I love you, he said. God help me. I love you so much it scares me. I know the feeling. He kissed her then, long and deep and full of everything they'd survived together. And outside, the stars shone down on the ranch that had once been a tomb and was now finally a home. The baby came in September. A girl, small and pink and perfect. They named her Hope. Clara held her daughter for the first time and felt something shift in her chest. A door opening, a wall coming down. She's beautiful, Josiah whispered. She is. She looks like you. She looks like all of us. The children crowded around, peering at their new sister. She's so tiny, Sammy said. Was I that tiny? Tinier, Clara said. Nuh-uh. Yeah-huh? Matt stood back, his arms crossed. But there was a softness in his eyes Clara had never seen before. Can I hold her? He asked. Clara looked at Josiah. Josiah nodded. She placed Hope in Matt's arms. The boy held her like she was made of glass. His face transformed. Wonder. Love. Something like reverence. Hey, little sister, he murmured. I'm your big brother, Matt. I'm gonna teach you everything. How to ride, how to rope, how to shoot. Maybe wait on the shooting, Josiah said. Fine, but definitely how to ride. Matt looked up at Clara. Thank you. For what? For staying. For not being like the others. For... He stopped, swallowed. For being our mama. Clara's heart swelled. Thank you for letting me, she said. That night after the children were asleep and Hope was in her cradle, Clara stood on the porch and looked up at the stars. A year ago, she'd been nobody. A girl sold to a stranger for $35. A girl with no family, no home, no hope. Now she had everything. A husband who loved her. Children who called her mama. A daughter sleeping in a cradle her father had built with his own hands. And a future bright enough to blind her. Josiah came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? Everything. Nothing. She leaned back against him. How different my life is. How different I am. You're the same woman who walked through my door all those months ago. No, I'm not. Clara turned in his arms. That woman was scared, beaten down, convinced she'd never be worth anything to anyone. And now I know better. She smiled. Now I know that worth ain't something other people give you. It's something you give yourself. By staying when it's hard. By fighting when it's hopeless. By loving when you're scared. Josiah brushed a strand of hair from her face. I never told you, he said. Why I picked you, that day at the auction. Why did you? Because you weren't crying. Everyone else was crying, begging, pleading. But you just stood there, head high, eyes hard, like you were daring anyone to break you. He paused. I knew right then you were different. I just didn't know how much. And now I know you're the best thing that ever happened to me. He kissed her forehead. to all of us. Clara closed her eyes. For the first time in her life, she felt complete. Not because of a man, not because of children, not because of a house or land or money. Because she'd finally found what she'd been searching for all along. A place to belong, a reason to stay, a family worth fighting for. And she'd never let go. Years later, when people asked how the Brennan Ranch became the most prosperous spread in Wyoming, the old-timers would smile and shake their heads. It wasn't the land, they'd say. It wasn't the cattle. It wasn't even the horses. It was the woman. The one who showed up with nothing and refused to give up. The one who turned a house of grief into a home of love. The one who stood up to the most powerful man in the territory and brought him to his knees. What was her name? Clara. Clara Jane Brennan. And if you listened carefully on quiet nights when the wind blew soft and the stars shone bright, you could still hear her voice carrying across the plains, telling stories, singing lullabies, loving without limit. Because that's what mothers do. That's what Clara did. And that's how a girl who was sold for $35 became the heart of a family that would last for generations. Not through luck, not through chance, but through the stubborn, relentless, unbreakable power of choosing to stay. And in the end, that's all love really is. A choice. Made every day. No matter how hard, no matter how scared. Just choosing to stay. Clara Jane Brennan stayed, and she never regretted it. Not once. Not ever.